for manufacturing. By the time you are spending all this money that has been categorized and apportioned to be invested in shares, you are fully diversified. That if there's a problem with the performance of shares of one single company, the impact that it would have in your investment in shares would be very minimal. And you can imagine if you had only invested in that one company that is having financial challenges. It's like you would have been in a jet and is not running properly, so dying. So the same way, for shares alone, we have diversified by buying shares of firms in different sectors, in different industries, in different countries. If it is Kenya, like now we are headed in 2022, we are headed to 2027, things will not be as usual, because in that year of general elections, we experience many changes. We experience volatility in prices of shares because major foreign investors, they start exiting the Kenyan market, because sometimes you don't even know which president, which regime will carry over at the end of the day, and what policies will they bring forth when it comes to investments. So for when you invest through collective investment scheme, like the one at Pinnacle, that question you don't have to worry about, because there is no macroeconomics of any single country that the strength to shake your investment portfolio. Those are only shares. When it comes to bonds, you can invest in various bonds. There are corporate bonds, and there are also what we refer as government bonds. And the main difference between shares and bonds is that bonds, they assure you, they guarantee you a fixed return for the amount of money that you have invested. If you buy treasury bonds, for example, for 1 year, that they promise you that whatever happens, whether it rains or it shines, we will give you 10% as the rate of investment, as the rate of return for you giving us your money to spend. So that is the difference between bonds and shares, because on the other hand, shares, you are not guaranteed anything, not even share appreciation, not even dividends. You only get some returns if the company that you have invested in performs very well, and at the end of the day they make profit, and that profit is to be distributed to the shareholders. And you being one of them, you participate in the sharing of the dividends. And sometimes you can buy some share at a price of 20 shillings, and at the end of the year, the price have gone up, and you would want to sell at 25 shillings. So you gain by share price appreciation and also by dividends. These benefits, as far as we are talking about shares, you are not guaranteed. It is guesswork. But of course, when the management of the company is and well organized, then that work is reduced. But nonetheless, imagine you have invested shares in a company like KQ, and God forbid there's a plane crash. That's something that even managers would not have controlled. Investment that you had put there, the value goes down. But for when you are diversified, like what Quest Pinnacle does, then it means you are safer. So that's the difference, shares and bonds. For bonds, you are guaranteed that no matter what, this is a debt that we owe you when you buy our treasury bonds, when you buy our corporate bonds. So the same thing, you don't only buy the treasury bonds of Kenya, because one single country would give you heart attack in case they are not performing very well, or they decide to overborrow, and therefore they end up defaulting on their payment obligation. So what Quest Pinnacle does is that it's in treasury bonds of major countries like US, they do, China, they do in major European countries, Germany, France, name them. Those that are robust, and they ensure that they buy as many so that no single country can influence the outcome of returns for Quest Pinnacle investors. The same thing under bonds, there are those corporate bonds. There are companies that are offering green bonds, like Safaricom, most of the commercial banks, they also invest there. The good thing with bonds is that you are assured that you will get this amount of money that you have been promised. But it's something that we can discuss another day, because the downside of being promised a certain return is inflation. If you have been promised 10% rate of return, and it happens that that year of income, there was high inflation, and inflation goes to maybe 12%, and the rate of return that you have been promised for your investment is 10%, then you lose, your money loses value more than it is gaining. But on the other hand, in terms of shares, during inflation, they do even better. That's when the share prices are also rising. And maybe you had a share at 20 shillings, inflation has come, even the prices for shares are now at 30 shillings, you also benefit. And that's why, as a way of diversifying, you ensure that you buy some bonds, you buy some insurance, you buy some shares. But with only 1,000 shillings, you cannot be able to do that. And that's exactly what a company like Quest Pinnacle Investment Limited will be doing for you. If you go to real estate sector, with only some small amount of money, there's something that is called REITs, where a company, those companies that they investing in real estate sector, you could be having a fund manager there who has collected a pool of funds from different investors, and like the 1 billion that I'm talking about. And therefore, what they do is they invest in real estate in various industries. It could be they want to invest in shopping malls, they invest in residential units, they invest in specialized industrial buildings, where it could be a hospital, it could be a school, it could be a warehouses. So again, they come up with about 1 billion. With 1 billion, they buy land, they invest those three categories of real estate, from residential, commercial, office blocks, and all that. So even you in Quest Pinnacle would now go to this company that have invested heavily in real estate, and they invest something small there. That kind of investment is called REITs, Real Estate Investment Trust. REITs, Real Estate Investment Trust. Amount of the money of this 1 billion, actually 25% in REITs. So REITs, it's now an investment in real estate, but it's that they own those real estate assets, but they have invested in another company that has sold them financial assets. And therefore, if a company like Quest Pinnacle, they want to sell their shares in those companies that they have bought REITs from, they just sell in a day. Now, if something like now the real estate, the alternative market is the same thing. Alternative market, we have now, you can invest in gold, you can invest in oil, you can invest in diamond, you can invest in cryptocurrency, you can invest in bitcoins. Again, an investment firm like now Quest Pinnacle, they invest in alternative markets, in alternative investments, and some gold, some diamond, some oil, futures, some forward currencies, forex. So at the end of the day, this kind of an investment portfolio is so solid, is so firm, that no single sector, no single government, no single company, no single industry can shake this firm. And therefore, when you invest your 1,000 with Quest Pinnacle, or 10,000 or 1 million, you can rest assured that that is an intact investment. It is far much better than what you can do by investing 10,000 alone a certain company. Remember, if you want to go far, you go with the rest. If you want to go fast, you go alone, but you risk to crash. So now, as I wind up, I hope now you believe that with only 100 shillings, you can walk in a supermarket and buy sugar, buy bread, buy wheat, buy wheat flour, buy maize flour, buy salt, just like a person with 10,000 can, but for your case, you would do that in less quantities. But you would have everything of whatever that you needed. In this century, you don't have to continue investing the traditional way. Don't invest even in treasury bonds of one country. That country can change and you can lose everything. Don't invest only in shares of one company like Safaricom. Use collective investment schemes. And if you are looking for a company that is Kenyan and that is doing that very well, look for none other but Quest Pinnacle, that is led by none other by Professor Paul Kibisho. If you want more information about them, go online and you'll find them.